Hey guys, it's Tony and we're back on the bench. And this evening we're going to be doing a service here on another combo reel. So we're looking at a Shimano FX2000. Okay, this is a rear drag spinning reel, and I said combo reel just a moment ago because this was actually attached to a matching rod that I found for a couple of bucks basically, and the reel was in good shape. Doesn't really have any problems with it. It just needs a cleaning and stuff like that. And so that's what we're going to get into here. We're going to show you how to take this reel apart, how to service it, and get it ready to go on out and do some fishing. So this reel I think is a good example of what you would want to hand to somebody that's learning how to fish perhaps, or something like that. It's a freshwater reel, and you could do 120 yards of 8-pound test here. So it's lightweight. It's got a graphite body, 4.1 to 1 gear ratio. So it's pretty basic, simple, design. But this is one of those deals where the spool, it doesn't have a button up here or anything to detach this, and so we have to get into the side plate here first in order to get this out. So we've got these screws here that are going to have to come out, and these are Phillips head screws. And the screwdriver's a little better to take these out. But yeah, I wanted to get into this reel so that I could slap it back on the rod that it came with, and I'm hoping to put this in the hands of a youngster perhaps, or something shortly, just so I can hand something down to somebody that that might want to learn how to fish one day or something like that, or they're already into fishing and they can use another rig. So we're going to take the side plate off first, and we're going to do some cleaning, of course, along the way. All right, this is all very clean here. We've got a bushing right here, and I do believe, I'm pretty confident this is not a ball bearing reel. I don't see anything on here that says ball bearing. There could be one here in the middle, but a lot of these combo reels don't usually come with ball bearings. If they do, it's usually one. This is all probably original grease right here. This reel's in great shape. It probably wasn't fished very heavily at all. It probably was fished maybe once or twice, and then it probably sat in a corner of a garage or something like that, and just stayed there. And that's pretty typical, right? That's typical of a lot of combo packages, or just a lot of reels in general. Sometimes people, they get stuff for Christmas or whatever, and then they try it out, they don't really like it, or or they do like it, but they end up getting other stuff, and then they never use this stuff ever again. That's pretty common. So we're cleaning out these gear teeth here, and then we're going to take some 4/0 steel wool right now to this drive shaft, and we're gonna smooth that out, make that nice and smooth and shiny. Okay, you've also got a couple of shim washers here. You just want to make sure that you don't lose track of those shims, because you need those to keep everything flush and plumb. Okay. So next, we've got a set screw here. It needs to come out. I'm going to back that out, and that's going to allow us to take this clip off the block and the main drive line. And my guess is this reel's never been serviced before. It's never been taken apart. It looks like there's actually some Loctite that they put on this screw so that it doesn't back out that easily on you. Okay, but the way these typically work is you've got this clip here that you should be able to kind of rotate up and then pull out like so. Okay, so we keep those together. Now you can pull this out. So yeah, the main drive line is actually attached to the spool here. Sometimes the spools are attached to the pinion gear. in some of these reels. That's not the case here though. Okay, so same deal here. We're just gonna take a little 4-0 steel wool here to this shaft. It's nice and clean, no problems there at all. Got a little bit of residual dust on here. It's no real big deal, but we're gonna clean it up. Put that off to the side. So here we have a retaining clip here that holds this rotor in place. Now this is something to make note of. For a beginner, this is not a problem, right? But to someone that might be a little bit more experienced, fishermen and whatnot, okay, these reels always seem to have a little bit of a wobble to them, okay, and you can see that right there. There's a little bit of a wobble. That's just the design of these things, okay? These are not solid and tight. They're not bolted down. They're simply held in with this clip right here, right? This retaining clip. And once you pull that clip out, your rotor's free to come out with the pinion gear attached, okay? And we do have a bushing that's also hiding here, as well as the anti-reverse. We've got the anti-reverse parts here as well. All right, so we're going to pull these off here because we need to have those, okay? We're going to clean this up next. We've also got very, very thin wire piece here. We're going to talk about these pieces here as we go, because this is all part of the anti-reverse clutch, but you got to keep these pieces together. Okay, and we're gonna clean off the old grease here. Yeah, a lot of the time these pinion gears too, they're also made from some pretty cheap metals. Okay, now this is interesting here. We've got some dust build up here, some pretty heavy dust. You can just see there's a whole bunch of it right there. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump that out. Yeah, what probably happened here is this probably got dumped, on a bank or something like that, and it got some mud and stuff like that, and that's a pretty common issue there as well. And we're going to try to clean all this up. Just going to blow that out, and we're just going to take a Q-tip to the inside here and try to take out some of that old dirt that got bound up in there. And then we'll run it through here as well, just to try to take all that out of there. You can see how dirty, a reel like this can be, how it can get. Okay. So as you can see, we've got some pieces and some parts lying around here that we have to account for. Crosswind gear can come out next. Okay, now we still have a bushing on this side. That doesn't really need to come out. We've got some old grease here. We're just going to clean out the old grease right now. It's really not that big of a deal. It's all relatively clean in here, so that's good. But yeah, reels like this hold their place. They're somewhat called budget reels, I would almost say, but it is a combo reel attached to a rod. And, this combo that this is set for, it's perfect for small ponds, lakes, small rivers, things of that sort, even sloughs. Okay, now you don't need to go to the extent to taking these parts off necessarily. I do kind of want to finish this off with a toothbrush though and try to clean off some of that residual grease that's banked here. There's a little bit stuck there too. All right, now we got to take the rear drag cap off. So we're going to back this out. next. Comes off like that. And then we've got a clip inside here that needs to come out. And sometimes these are a little tricky, and you need a really small screwdriver sometimes to get these out. This one's being considerably a challenge, but there we go. You got that little snap there. Okay, and then we're going to have some pieces that are going to come out. You want to just make note of the orientation of these parts. There's usually a washer or two hiding under here. And then we've got our spring. And then usually at this point in the game, I like to take a pair of needle nose and pull out the rest of the stack like this. Okay, and you want to have all these parts laid out and accounted for. Make sure they're nice and clean. Okay, this is a fairly simple drag kit here. All right, so you just want to make sure you got clean parts here. This is all very clean. Now, you know, the downside to using a rear drag system like this is that oil and grease has a tendency to seep down into that chamber where the clutch kit is. And sometimes it can make for some slipping and things like that, but it also just attracts a lot of dirt and stuff down there. So, and the other disadvantage to using a rear drag system is you get less max drag. Okay, so we're going to go back with these parts here one by one. You've just got a couple of discs there. You've got a metal keyed disc with the fins. Okay, they should be facing upright, right, going out of the reel, out the back basically. Okay, we're going to go back with this right now. And we're going to set it in place. Just like so. That's good there. We got a spring. It's going to go back. Okay, and then we've got these pieces here. And once again, there's usually at least one, if not two washers. I think in this case, it's one washer. There's a little bit of old grease here. We'll clean this out while we're here, just for good measure. But yeah, I primarily like using rear drag reels for ultralight outfits that I use, just because with those kinds of outfits, you don't need a lot of drag power. And so that's what I try to do with those. You know, I'll use, every once in a blue moon, I'll use a reel maybe this size. This is not what I consider an ultralight. But the good thing about rear drag reels such as this is that you can actually you know, get to the drag when you're fighting a fish. And you know, whereas it's a little harder to do when you're paying out line and you're trying to get your fingers in there on top. And that is one advantage to using a rear drag reel. So there's always that part of it to consider and to think about. So we're going to tighten this up. And we're going to get our set screw in place like so. Snug that up, and then we're going to back this out for now. Okay. So now we've cleaned all this up, and we're ready to put these pieces back in. So we're going to start here with the crosswind gear. This is all pretty clean already. Teeth are fine there. So we're going to go in with some blue grease here on the inner housing here, and some blue grease here on this. And we got our crosswind block. Clean the back of that out. And same drill here with the blue grease. Set that in place down there. And then before we get too far along, we want to get back to our rotor and our... So at this point, we're going to take some reel oil and we're going to apply it here and here, just to help work those levers. All right, and then we've got a plastic bushing with a notch in it that they've provided us with that will help us put that back in the right position. And sometimes we need a little pick tool to kind of help guide that where it needs to be. Like that. And then we've got a washer, a shim, that can ride on top of that. Now, for the rest of this, you've got this really thin wire, okay? And that has to go back on here first. And essentially what you need to do is you have to get this wire so that it goes around this collar. And it's really hard to do this on camera where you can see, right? But it has to be in there. You can see it sticks out right there. And the end of this should be facing down into the rotor. Okay, but you need that wire set down there. All right, and then you can take this plastic ring, okay, with that little hole in it, okay, and then that seats on top. And that's all part of the anti-reverse, those parts right there, okay. And then we go in just with a little bit of blue grease to top off that pinion gear, okay, and then we're ready to place this back on gently, like so. And then we've got our clip. It's going to hold that back in position like that. Okay, and you should, in fact, be able to turn this back and forth like so. And then we've got these remaining pieces here. So next we can take our spool. All right, we've already cleaned up the spool. We're going to take some blue grease to the spool, like so. And we're going to slide that back in gently, just to start out. Okay, and then we've got our main gear. And we'll do some blue grease there, as well as on the gear teeth. And then this is one of those deals where you kind of have to slide this back in place here first, and you got to get everything lined up as you do this. And there's 2 notches that are on that main axle, and then you got to set your clip back in place. And you can actually keep the main gear out while you do that. On some of these, you cannot do that. You have to have the main gear in first. It's easy to forget that sometimes. So we're going to put this screw, set screw, back in. Just like so. Main gear, side cap or side plate, and we've got some screws here that can go back in to secure that. So all around, not a very hard reel to work on. And with proper maintenance and care, should last a good number of years of fishing. And outside of what we've already done, we're just going to do a light cleaning on the outside. I think I'm going to use maybe a little bit of degreaser or something like that, just to get some of this old dirt and grime that's on here still. And sometimes I'll get asked, well, how often should you actually service, your reel? Well, that depends on a lot of things. It depends on how often you use the reel, where you're using the reel, the elements that it's exposed to, and also, the storage of the reel as well. I've seen some reels that are in such bad shape, and they've been stored for so long, but they were living in environments like old sheds and places where there's a lot of moisture and things of that sort. Do a little bead of oil here as well as here, and we'll do some blue grease here on the handle shaft here. But yeah, it all really depends on a lot of different factors. Saltwater gear has a tendency to take a much worse beating than freshwater gear a lot of the time. A little bit of oil on these threads here as well. Some gear is exposed to sand frequently, and dirt, mud, gravel, things of that sort. And the only other thing that we want to do here as well is we want to apply some oil here on these seams. A little bit of Real X oil. And that'll be good to work its way in there. And then just to top this off, we're going to do just a little bit of degreasing right here, just because it's a little messy. This is just a mild Purple Power citrus degreaser. And we're just going to clean this reel up real quick. But yeah, all around, it's not a bad little reel, and hopefully it's going to find its way to somebody that can use it. I have lots and lots of reels similar to this that I frankly just don't really use much anymore. I know for a good period of time, especially in the 80s, rear drag spinning reels was kind of the fab thing that you saw. These days, most of them are top drag systems, just because you get that better drag power, and it just makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to try this out here. It's spinning good. Anti-reverse is nice and solid. Go back and forth with it there. Bail's real good there. And we'll make sure that the drag is holding nicely as it should be. It's working real good, and we're going to back it off when we're not using the reel. So there you have it. That is the Shimano FX2000 combo spinning reel, all serviced and ready to go. So thanks again for watching. This is Tony with Back on the Bench. If you liked the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please make sure you do subscribe and hit the notification button, and that way it'll give you all the updates as to when there are new videos being posted. And I do intend to have quite a few more coming out shortly, so make sure you stay tuned for those, and we'll see you next time.